Hey guys, how's it going? VaulSC here. We're going to take a look at a game of infiNity between the Aleph sectorial of OSS and the vanilla PanOceania, straight up. And we're going to be playing on the mission Acquisition. This is a mission where going second can sometimes be good because it's about moving your data tracker onto that middle objective to get 5 points. That's really huge. However, the deployment zones are a bit deeper than usual, so the full 16 inches, and there's a lot can happen before that last round of the game, and there's a lot you can do to make it very difficult for your data tracker, for the enemy's data tracker to get onto the middle objective without dying, or at least you can actually have a model of your own there, which might be able to live long enough to contest that, shall we say. So let's have a look at the table here. Playing at our friend's house here, and this will be a bit of a different one because he's just finished, just started really constructing this new terrain that we're going to be playing on, a bit of a different map, so some of my scattered terrain mixed in with his stuff. You can see that there are some pretty large areas, and this will be quite defining for the game that we're playing. So there'll be deployment zones. OSS will be on this side. PanOceania is going to be on the side. We're playing Acquisition, so there's the consoles here and here where you press the button on them and have a model in base contact with at the end of the game to get bonus points. Then there's this main central objective here where you get your data tracker in base contact with it for a huge wad of points, but also the HVTs and the xenotechs come into play, and the classified objective also come into play. But you've got a 3-level building here, so that's quite significant. There's a 2-level building here, which, well, you know, the roof and the inner part of it, which provides quite a lot of protection for models deploying inside here. Deployment zones pretty much come out to the edge, so you can use this entire area in these buildings. But this big square takes up quite a lot of the table, and it's very compact inside there. You'll start to see from the other photos we'll be looking at that line of sights, quite short. And this is going to be quite powerful for hacking, jammers especially, mines, direct template weapons, that kind of thing. Before we go too far into it, I'm going to jump back and have a look at the army lists. So you guys might have watched my video recently about high-risk fire teams in OSS. So I put a lot of thought into that, and this time I'm going to be playing around with the Asura plus Double Diva. I don't think it's the best variation of that, but for this game I specifically wanted to play around with more points elsewhere in the list. So you've got Dart, the 2 Nagas there, the Sniper and the Assault Hacker. Assault Hacker could be very good in the matchup against PanOceania. All things considered, though, it's probably better to go with the Diva and, the Yato Troopers, just because they ignore jammers because of their veteran ability, and the NCO ability makes a lot better use of the Lieutenant, the Double Lieutenant ability. My opponent playing a 16-order list, Joan of Arc, of course, being wonderful in the sense that she can turn all of those irregulars into regulars. So the Hellot, Miranda Ashcroft, Tech B, Warcore, Monstrucker, they all become regular. So the big teeth of this list are the Bulleteer and the Nis. Of course, the Sierra John bot can do work with assisted fire. Joan very solid in her ability to move everybody around with her lieutenant's coordinated order. Other than that, though, quite a lot of chaff, and of course the Zulu Cobra, very important piece for vanilla vanilla PanOceania these days, is what I meant to try and say. Okay. So there's the view of the table from the other side, and you can see that this big square here is very compact. We deliberately made the other half of the table quite open, but still, it is quite a clustered table, shall we say. My opponent's won the dice roll. He's decided to pick the table side he wanted. I've opted to go directly for second turn, so I'll be having to set up and wear the brunt of his first, alpha strike here. To that effect, also putting a post-human sniper into hidden deployment, the Mark 5, with the 2 SMGs is hanging out through the front. He's going to be holding onto the xenotech. Just move the cam a little bit. You can see the Shukra consultant in the building as well. Left-hand side, so this is my left-hand corner. We've got a flash pulse spot here. This is a Naga sniper, positioned there to stay out of line of sight for now, but she'll be moving around to get a shot through a long angle towards my opponent's TR bot position. Not that I know the TR bot's going to be there, but I do know that based on the shape of the battlefield, there's going to be significant troops over that middle point, so I want to be able to cover that later. CSU hanging out inside of this flower pot area. all of the because the train hasn't been painted yet, it's really just glowing quite brightly in the light of this. So I'm gonna have to sort of show you where things are with lines, of course. But the CSU has rolled up the extra speed, so 8-4 movement, one of my faves. There's the shuriken inside the building, tucked away into the back. My Hurry Slink team is going to be towards the center behind these trucks. So the Asura is standing up so she can see into that large shopping mall building in the right-hand side. But these two models are prone. So we've got the Fort Observer here and the Harris Fire team there. Okay, there you can see it. So that gives a better shot of where the Asura actually has line to, right through here to the right-hand side of this this objective. Dart is hanging out through here with her 4 deployment, stacking on top of the larger than usual deployment zones. If she doesn't die in the first turn, we'll be able to head over towards enemy territory, possibly even dropping an EM grenade on Joan's head. That'd be a very decisive move if she's able to do that. Note that the proxy could also do that with its own EM grenades. And don't forget that's the position of the sniper, which we've now removed from the table after taking a photo of it. So yeah, that's the proxy with 2 SMGs, Fort Observer, and another glamour shot here of our beautiful Asura, Diva in the way. HVTs on the left-hand side of the table, both of them within range of each other, so you got the Pano one on the left, OSS one on the right. So my opponent from his right-hand side, this is a decoy Helot. There's a Auxilia team here. That's a sensor bot, I believe. Yep. NIS HMG prone on top of the building, so it's going to be in a position to stand up, move across, and shoot from this angle down there if it wants to. This is one of the reasons why I didn't have my Asura visible from this angle of the table. Otherwise the NIS would really do a lot of work to her. You can also see on the left-hand side here, there's a Xenotech, a Tech B, and a Monstrucker all hanging up behind this one box, and there's a Krakot Renegade in the distance who has rolled up the 20, I think it's a regen, and the Zulu Cobra is here with his beautiful, beautiful jammer, ready to move up and cause some problems. The Helot in the building, I believe this is the real Helot. It's got a submachine gun and a light rocket launcher. There's another one on ground floor. There it is there, that's the other decoy, but this one is the real one, I believe, just covering through the middle. And note that it's covering the objective in the middle, which is quite important, because in the last turn I'm going to have to move my data tracker over there. So there's that little group. You've got Xenotech here, and then Tech B, and then Monstrucker. Okay, towards the center, so that's a flash pulse bot. We already looked at the sensor bot. We've talked about these three here, and then you've got Joan of Arc. Next to her is a PAL bot controlled by the Monstrucker. The TR bot is completely hidden around this side of the building here, and you've got a Warcore next to the Hacker and Joan as well. And towards the left-hand side, on the other side of this wall, note that yes, there is a wall here, and there's the doorway to it. So we've got Miranda Ashcroft right there. Another Auxilia team on the far left, and they're going to move through into the building, along with the Krakot later in the game, moving out that way. That's deployment. My reserve trooper is the assault hacker. I was expecting him to come over towards me with maybe a bulleteer or a tag or something like that, so I'm going to put it towards the center of the table and hopefully catch him out as he comes through towards the middle to maybe pick on Joan and the Divas. And he is indeed putting down a bulleteer Spitfire right behind this main building where the NIS and the Helots actually are. I've selected the Asura as my data tracker, and my opponent selects Joan of Arc as his data tracker, and the game's good to go. So we're beginning with the Krakot not using Impetuous, but the Zulu Cobra moves right around here towards this objective. The Asura does have line of sight through here, but not to the point where he'll be able to touch the objective. So Zulu Cobra moving in, he's using his sensor ability to censor the area, not finding any hidden deployment troopers, of course, but it will reveal Dart. So Dart is prone on the floor here, but revealed by the Zulu Cobra. So he then decides to move up with the Auxilia team, which is a good plan. They're quite effective at taking out Dart, so they move through, and initially just the bot moves through the doorway, so I go for a dodge, expecting the flamethrower. So the flamethrower unfortunately failed the dodge, so a little bit of bad luck there, rolling a 14, and then failed the first armor save, going at NWI, and then passing the second armor save, so Dart already reduced to just NWI, and then of course the second order he moves through and attacks with both the combi rifle and the flamer. Dart again goes for the dodge, but doesn't live through it, does die. So unfortunately, Dart killed already. Let's just quickly reflect on this and say that Dart's been a little bit unlucky here. She probably should have, held off for a bit longer than that, but she was likely to die in the long run anyway, so I wouldn't have taken too many more orders. Deploying her up there wasn't a bad idea, but I wasn't expecting him to censor me that early, but in hindsight, maybe I hadn't. I was expecting to be up against a sensor jammer assault pistol guy, so maybe I should have deployed her for a bit further back. Hard to say, but yeah. I think that if I was to play this game again, I wouldn't quite put her so far up, especially since I'm defending. Maybe try to be a bit more conservative. Okay, then what happens is he actually tries to move across the doorway with the bot and the trooper here, let the Asura take free shots, but unfortunately he can't get his troop. His plan was to draw out the ARO with the bot first, and with the second shot skill move past the doorway with the Auxilia, but that didn't work, and the Asura was able to shoot them. So unfortunately, getting shot up there. Next up, his hacker is putting assisted fire onto the Bulleteer over here. Bulleteer then able to move out, and there's a point here where it uses its first short skill to move up. And I made a bit of a blunder here, because the correct way to play it is to first of all check to see whether it generates any zone of control AROs, and then if there are any, then I have the option to declare them. What I simply did is I attempted to declare the assault hacker jamming up the using, I think, carbonite on the Bulleteer, whichever one gives you +3 to hit. I can't remember what it was, but I kind of jumped the gun there. I just declared it without actually checking that it was in range. So it turned out to be just like a hair's breadth out of range for the assault hacker. That gives up the information that I actually have an assault hacker. And unfortunately, the Bulleteer can move elsewhere now. What I should have done is I should have just gone, okay, do I get any zone of control AROs? And then the answer would have been no. Then he would have kept moving with the second short skill into range a little bit, and then I would have been able to shoot him. So that's a blunder. That's a mistake. So what the Bulleteer is now able to do is just pull back around here, and unfortunately, does come within a line of range of the bot at this point, and gets line of sight to the post-human through here. So that's his plan. He's going to try and take out the post-human, which is babysitting the Xenotech. That does mean that he'll get hacked as he does it, but the chances of hitting me are pretty good here on 15s with the Bulleteer. Now, again, bad luck continuing, that the assault hacker completely whiffs the shot, even needing like a 17 or something like that for the carbonite. The post-human doesn't succeed in dodging, and the Bulleteer just rips him up straight away, which is really, really annoying. So then the Bulleteer is able to move away, quite hilariously. Not before the jammer guy moves through, so I'll just move the camera. So we've got the Zulu Cobra. Hope it's called a Zulu Cobra. I'd hate to think I'm going through the entire bat rip with using the wrong name. It is a Zulu Cobra. So the Zulu Cobra moving around. His plan is to move through to this corner, where he's going to be severely annoying for my entire army, especially my Harris Link team, given that none of them can ignore the jammers. It's going to completely prevent me from moving out of my deployment zone, so that's really, really bad. This is a coordinated order, I think, so the Bulleteer moves off. I have another attempt at hacking it, and I think that fails as well. Can't quite 100% remember how that went, but I do recall the Bulleteer managing to make it out, which is annoying. So the Nest is setting up shop here. The Nest is actually setting up in such a way that it doesn't see down this angle, because the Nest doesn't want to get shot in my turn, but he can see down through here, and he is going to be put into suppression fire later. So just covering off that one side of the table. So Bulleteer pulls back all around to this spot. He is not hacked, annoyingly. I attempted Oblivion the second time around, I think, but either way, it was a miss, so there's that. As part of that coordinated order, we're also bringing out the TR bot just to get a line down here, just to make it hard for me to counterattack in my turn, so there are some significant AROs ready to go. So it does eventually come around to OSS turn, and what I decided to do here is, finding that the Asura was not in range of the jammer, which is located on the other side of that wall, decided to move out and take on the Bulleteer at long range, because the Bulleteer is in suppression fire, but can't quite shoot that far. So it's Asura with 5 dice in the long distance, and the Asura is able to win that shootout and eliminate the Bulleteer. So that's a start. Having a careful look at the table, realized that the Naga had a pretty good shot here. So pulling the Naga out around this corner and taking on the TR bot, if I can just move my head. And the good thing about this shootout is that it turned out to be just over 32 inches. So my opponent went for the shot, turned out to be just over 32 inches. He's -3 for cover, 3 for camo, 3 for surprise shot, 3 for range. Can't hit because he's at -12. Whereas the Naga rips into him with the bullets and actually renders him unconscious. So seeing that the TR bot have been dealt with, I'm now moving out with the Asura Link team here, and they're moving in this direction. So they're going to go from one side of my deployment zone all the way over to the other side, and that's going to ignore the jammer over here, which is waiting for me. And it'll give the NIS an opportunity to shoot down the... it'll give the Asura an opportunity to shoot down the NIS. NIS is in suppression fire, but given they've got the Link team backing me up and the good range, I should be able to deal with them quite appropriately. So Asura comes all the way around here. You'll notice the NIS is positioned right up there. So Asura just pulls right around. It's just barely within 24 inches. So the NIS is -3 for range, -3 for cover. So hitting on, I think, 7s on 3 dice. And the Asura shooting a good range, -3 for suppression, hitting on 11s on 5 dice. And luckily the Asura was able to win it. She was expected to win it. So no super surprises there. And the NIS is taken down. So that's the Bulleteer down, the TR bot down, and the NIS down. Really removed the guns from the Pano list. Things going as expected. I also decided that I didn't want him laying the Xenotech, because if he doesn't lay the Xenotech, it just gives me more and more chances of winning later on if I can't get to the central objective. If I can pull ahead by planting mine and leaving his out in the open, that might be a big swing. So Naga just moving out from outside of the house and shooting across the battlefield to hit the Xenotech, who's just barely sticking out of the cover here. Earlier on, the Naga was able to move out in such a way that she could see the TR bot and the Tech B at the same time, but only declared shots against the TR bot. So the Xenotech had Tech B had a free dodge. So she did dodge a little bit further around, but the Monstrucker's blocking her from actually standing too far into the corner. So the NIS, I'm getting the names mixed up every different sentence. The Naga taking advantage of that and killing her, and then pulling back to the cover of this wall, just because you can really appropriately cover that angle now. If the Monstrucker moves out, he's going to get shot. If Joan moves out, she's going to get shot. This Naga's in just a really good position. There's nothing that can outrange her at the moment, so I'm really grateful that I've got this piece. And yeah, everybody else just hanging out around the back. Asura's covering the left-hand flank. I've got a couple of divas just watching the back line here. This model here has the combi rifle ready to go, against models that might come down this side, but not sticking around too far. And there's also a post-human in hidden deployment yet to be revealed. So my opponent, seeing that the little bot can't really come up here without being shot, we're going to move the bot all the way around here initially, and then it's going to jump up there, and then it's going to come to the bot to revive it, because it's still attached to this Monstrucker, which is positioned there. So that's what he's doing with his turn, with his group 2 orders. As the Monstrucker is doing this moving, he's also throwing down a drop bear out into the open. That's going to potentially help cover the central objective later on. So a little helper bot moving through goes to revive the TR bot, failing the first time, but command token to reroll. And then we use the hacker, who's right next door, to put assisted fire onto the bot. And the bot then moves out to take on the Naga. So this is an important moment in the game, because he's basically needing to get into range. So the bot's moving out. He needs to get into range of 32 of the Naga. Otherwise, he's going to have a really terrible chance of hitting. As it stands with assisted fire, he's going to be shooting +3 to hit, -3 for camo, and that's it. So I think 11s, whereas the Naga's going to be hitting on a 15 on 1 dice. So he's going to have a tough time with that as it is. Revealing the post-human sniper here, which is a bit of a risk, because he's up against these assisted fire shots as well, and if my opponent splits burst, he could kill both of them in one fell swoop. But if I can actually take down the TR bot at this point, either of these snipers are going to be enough to cover these the middle of the table area. It's going to help me to prevent Joan from moving out and taking the objective later, and it's really going to help swing the game in my favor and keep it controlled until that last turn push, where I can effectively move out and get the Asura into the middle objective. Now what happens here turned out to be very, very frustrating, because the Naga, needing a 15 to hit, completely whiffed her shot, and the post-human needing a 16 to hit completely whiffed his shot. incredibly bad luck, and the TR bot rips into the Naga, kills it because of shock, and I'm left with just a post-human. So that was really quite frustrating. Having said that, what really should have happened is that the Naga should have died and the post-human should have killed the TR bot, and that should have been the end of that. The Naga wasn't particularly likely to beat the bot, but again, 1 dice on 15 versus 4 dice on 11s, I think it was. Yeah, she did have a legit chance of actually beating the bot had she rolled like an average number. Okay, so that's where everybody stands. We've got an image of the post-human blocking the way partly to the team back here. Let's move on with the game. So now he wants to move out with the Zulu Cobra. The Zulu Cobra has been avoided, so now he wants to come back to the party, coming around here, and potentially getting some shots through with his combi rifle. Has a serious think about that and realizes that at that range against the post-human, probably not the best idea, and he needs to get into position first to be able to use triangulator fire, or whatever you call it, so that wasn't really a possibility. Moving around now with Joan and her coordinated orders with various bots around the back of the field, and Joan herself. This is also going to be used to move the Zulu Cobra in camo marker form over to the crate, see where the truck are. So that's going to be a discover with the post-human and a delay with the Diva, just in case he reveals at this point. I'll get a shot back at him. Allows him to move through to this objective here, and in the meantime, the Krakot moving up to that objective as well in the center. So then we come right around the back here, and the Zulu Cobra is able to go after the Diva in the back line and fire at her with the combi rifle. Does manage to get a hit on her. She goes into NWI and uses guts to sort of pull back towards the building. This is actually legal because the truck is still counting as terrain, and 2 inches will take her to a point where the truck itself would have counted as giving her total cover against the position of the Zulu Cobra. So that is actually a legal move as far as I can tell. And we can also use warning to change the facing of the team a little bit. Now at this stage, if the Zulu Cobra comes any further around the truck, he's going to have a lot more to deal with than just this one Diva. Elsewhere, we're moving around with Orcspot moving up into position, the Krakot moving a little bit further into this corner. Note that, again, that's the OSS position. We've got the Zulu Cobra around here, and Krakot now moving into position here to get ready to flank in and cause more disruption in the last turn. There you go. So this is turn 2 for me now, and I feel like I'm behind at this point, just due to having a little bit of bad luck. That TR bot still being alive, I kind of have to risk killing it. And the problem with this play is that the Zulu Cobra is going to jammer me as I attempt this. So I'm going for it anyway. The post-human does shoot the bot and beat it, so the bot is destroyed. And luckily for me, the jammer doesn't take effect onto the post-human, so a little bit of good luck going back my way. But it was still kind of annoying that had happened earlier. So the post-human sniper is still covering this middle part of the battlefield. You can sort of see how that lies. Moving the assault hacking, what do you call these guys? Naga is the name I'm trying to think of, over to here. That way, because there's a window like right there, the Naga is going to be able to cover this area with its combi rifle. There's going to be a Krakot moving out around here, so I want to be able to contest that. Also moves to a point where I can actually see the middle objective if people start coming towards that angle. That's going to happen, so yeah, better position for it to be in. The CSU, because it had rolled up some serious extra movement, is just running around here. And I'd carefully thought about moving the entire Asura link team around the side of the board in this particular turn, but I've got one more turn after this, and what I really want to do is reduce the number of orders he has to get into position and reduce the number of potential AROs he has to set up against me in that final turn. So I decided just to hang tight with the Asura and try and chip away at him. To that effect, I'm moving around with the CSU, and what the CSU can do is move to a point here where it can actually line up shots on 3 different people. So we've got the Auxilia and the Orcspot, the Auxilia, and there's a Helot decoy. I have to find out if that's the real one. Of course, it's not the real one, but the shotgun template goes through all of these guys. The Flamer comes back at me, and everybody's killed. So the Auxilia team, decoy's gone away, CSU drops as well from the flamethrower. Now, again, to avoid the jammer, the link team's moving around. So the Asura covering this middle part of the table with her Spitfire. Quite good with the link team bonus long range. This guy's prone inside the little flower bed here just to be the link leader. And the wounded Diva coming to the corner here, she's going to actually be able to fend off the Zulu Cobra later on if he does manage to beat the post-human. But the significance of this move is it allows me to avoid that jammer with the Asura as well. If the jammer gets to the Asura, then that's just game over, because she needs to be able to move towards the middle. So this is just positionings to help set up the route towards the middle objective at the end, which is what it's going to come down to. Okay, and also the Shukra Consultant moving through with the last couple of orders just to get to a position where it can actually help defend things that might be coming through at the Asura's position. So there he comes right to the top here. Tries to shoot the mine dropped by the Monstrucker earlier in the game, but two long-range boarding shotgun shells completely miss. Then on to the final Pano turn. So what he's going to be doing here is he's going to be going after the post-human sniper with his Zulu Cobra. And the thinking here is that if I can delay him for as long as possible, it's only going to give him about 5 orders in the other group, because we've got a group of 5 with the Zulu Cobra after he moved it, and then a group of 5 with Joan and her friends. And if I can just really limit him to only group 1 having much of an effect, that might mean that he's not able to set up that much in the middle of the table to prevent me from going in and winning. So initially he comes out here with the combi rifle. It might have been the assault pistol, can't quite remember. Yeah, probably would have been the assault pistol. +3 to hit, -6 for TO camo. So yeah, it needed 10s on 4 dice. Whereas I shoot back with a pistol, also needing a 10. The thinking is that I've got NWI to fall back on, and if I do take a wound, then I can start nanopulsering him and potentially trade. Whereas the pistol is a way for me to maybe win the face-to-face roll, or at least maybe stave off the actual amount of hits I'll take into the last minute. So with the first shot, I roll a 9, he rolls some 9s, nothing happens. With the next shot, he does actually manage to strip away a wound, and then the nanopulses start coming out. And unbelievably, the first round of shots, my opponent whiffs every single assault pistol shot, so misses completely, takes the nanopulser, but passes the nanopulser save, which is really annoying, very frustrating. Then the next shot after that, he rips into me, gets some hits, and the nanopulser hits him again. The post-human dies at the stage, and then he passes his armor save again from the combi rifle, which was just mind explosion. He did run out of orders, thankfully, so there was that, but, oh, actually, no, there was this one last attempt here with the combi rifle against the Diva, but the Diva, I think, managed to live through this. Still a bit of a frustrating turn. So Joan now moving out around with her coordinated order goodness, inspiring leadership and all of that. Krakot also moving through to this point here, but the Naga, which is positioned inside this room, is able to shoot past with its combi rifle and actually kill the Krakot. Finally, something going my way. So Krakot does die. He does move in with his sensor bot, getting into a position where he can actually potentially draw a bead on the what do you call this guy? The Shukra Consultant standing in the doorway. Doesn't manage to do it this turn because doesn't quite get into position, but quite significantly he'll be able to attack that later, and maybe I shouldn't have left the Shukra so far out. We'll see what happens though. Okay, so Joan needs to move towards the objective through to here from her deployment zone and hang out there, and that's going to be a good play for Joan because she's very, very tough, can go into suppression fire, and can prevent me from moving my Asura over to the same point. So we'll see how that goes. Joan moving in. There she is there, setting up shop, just as you'd suspect. And we've also got this this bot moving over here. Doesn't quite manage to kill this Shukra Consultant as far as I can recall, and the game continues. Everybody goes into suppression fire that can, so that's including Joan. Alright, no, in fact it's only Joan, because he's run out of command tokens at this point, so only Joan into suppression fire. Now, after thinking about it for quite some time, I realized that the only play that I can really make is to try and go directly for Joan and either kill her or get into close combat with her with the Asura somehow, or touch the button, and then maybe move my forward-observing Diva over to one of the other objectives. I do have, I think, 5 or 6 regular orders plus the 2 lieutenant orders, so the resources are there. But it's going to be winning all of the face-to-face rolls that I need to win to be able to do it. So the game is winnable, but it's not going to be easy. So moving out initially, just setting up shop with the First Order. Unfortunately, because my Harris team's spread out and this Fort Observer has to be the link leader, we have to move the Diva past the Cobra. So she can only take, if she takes 1 wound, she's going to die. So the Cobra, I think, shooting her and hitting on a 13, and she can pass the armor save, I think on a 10 plus or something like that. And unfortunately, the Cobra hits and she fails the armor save. So that's the first piece of, quite bad luck, is that the expectation was that it wasn't really that likely that she was going to die from that, but she did anyway. So now I don't have the link team burst bonus for the rest of the game, which is significant because I've got to win face-to-face roll after face-to-face roll for this to work, and it's looking a lot less likely here. So Asura initially moving around, she's just abandoning her friend there because she doesn't really need him at this point. So she's moving out into line of sight of that sensor bot at the top with her Lieutenant Order and just blasting him and luckily managing to kill him. Then she moves a little bit further around into line of sight of the Cobra and actually a Helot who's out here, able to see her, and shooting at the boarding shotgun Miranda Ashcroft in the distance as well, but not Joan yet. So this one turned out to be interesting. Her first shot against the Zulu Cobra does take effect and does win and kill him. And the other shots, in fact 3 shots into the Helot kills it as well. But the lone boarding shotgun shell from the distance, long range, hits the Asura and she fails her armor save. So she's already down 1 wound, which was rather frustrating. So at least she won the other 2 face-to-face rolls. Then she can move around the corner a little bit to set up shop and go into position. And you can see here that if she is able to move out 4 inches, let me get out the thing, 4 inches and stands there and fights Joan. If she lives, she can move another 4 inches here, and if she lives after that second one, she's going to be able to block the objective, and that will allow my Diva, with 2 orders left, to move out and potentially press the button there. Now Joan will still be in suppression fire, but the Diva does have NWI. Actually against shock it won't help that much, but there is a chance I can potentially move the Diva out there and press the button. Or if the Asura gets really, really lucky and kills Joan, then the game will be won quite solidly. So what happens is that the Asura moves out, shoots at the initially shoots at the at this Miranda Ashcroft model, whatever it is, and I think Miranda Ashcroft gets crit or something like that. I think it was a crit at the end of the day, like a 9 or something crazy. So before the Asura is even able to take on Joan, and sorry, my memory of the short skills and the orders and the chronology of this are a bit hazy, but the one thing that I do remember very well is that the Asura was down 2 wounds even before she went into attack Joan, just because Miranda Ashcroft had shot her long range and wounded her twice, which was really frustrating. But the Asura then finally comes through, throws the dice against Joan. Unfortunately, Asura needing like 11s on 4 dice and Joan needing 15s on 3 dice, so it's actually pretty bad for her. And Asura unfortunately dying straight away here, which was a bit frustrating, but that's okay. Just reflecting on this game at the end of it, I felt that I played rather well. I felt that I did get a bit unlucky. I felt the table wasn't great for me considering the line of sight blockers and the jammer being there. The list I thought was okay. I'm not really going to blame the list. I think the list was alright. At the end of the day, the Yato Trooper version with Shaq T and the Yato Trooper NCO HMG would have been better for this particular matchup here, just because I would have had the veterans to go after the jammer with. But overall, a bit unlucky this game, especially with the snipers. If that Naga had lived through that TR bot, this would have been quite an easy game with that Naga really controlling the middle of the table very, very well. But unfortunately, it was not to be. If I'd killed that Zulu Cobra any earlier, that would have been really helpful for the Asura coming by. If my secondary Diva had actually tanked a shot from the Zulu Cobra, I would have had a 3-man link team moving out around here, and with the Asura's additional shot, she may have been able to beat Miranda Ashcroft up more effectively, or even kill Joan and go through and do it that way. But very close game, quite a grimy, bloody, ugly sort of game in some ways. My opponent played okay. I felt like there are probably a couple of things he could have done a little bit better. I wasn't that hot on the Nissa's position. It was also unfortunate that the Bulleteer didn't quite move within hacking range with his first short skill in that particular moment where the Assault hacker had a chance to lock him down, because that would have given me another proxy post-human out there to be able to move out and put the Xenotech down and maybe get his EM grenades into action against whoever. So yeah, this game could have gone so much differently in so many different ways, as I'm sure you guys can appreciate, but it was a really fun one, really exciting one, and I love it when the games come down to, you know, these moments where it's quite gripping. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I'll be back for the next one pretty soon. See you around.